To explain yourself is to submit yourself to a jury. Every time you provide a reason for your choices, you are handing over a map of your boundaries and asking for permission to exist. But when the loner stops explaining, the trial ends and the jury is dismissed without a verdict. Consider the unilateral no to family. We are conditioned to believe that blood grants people an all-access pass to our time and energy. When a toxic relative demands your presence, the standard response is a frantic list of excuses. You provide a lie because you are afraid of the truth. The loner does something different. They say, "I won't be there." When the inevitable why follows, they offer nothing but silence. You aren't being cruel, you are being clear. By refusing to provide a valid reason, you deny them the leverage they need to guilt-trip you back into compliance. Then there is the conflict vacuum. Someone tries to bait you into an argument by attacking your lifestyle or your choices. They are looking for a defense. They want you to explain your side so they can find the holes in your logic and tear you down further. The loner refuses to provide the ammunition. You simply nod and say, "I hear you," then return to your peace. You have left the aggressor alone in a vacuum of their own making. Without your explanation to push against, they lose their balance. They realize they have no power over your self-perception. People fear the silent loner because silence is unpredictable. When you explain yourself, you are readable. People know your triggers and your values. When you stop, you become a black box. They can no longer calculate how to influence you, and that loss of control feels like a threat. Think about the informational embargo. Most social interactions are just data mining sessions. People ask questions to see where you fit in the hierarchy. The loner who stops explaining is essentially declaring their life classified. You become a ghost in a world that demands transparency. This shift in behavior triggers a crisis of authority in others. They assume that if you aren't explaining, you must be hiding something or planning something. They can't fathom a person who is simply content. Your lack of justification is interpreted as a declaration of war against the status quo. In the end, the loner who stops explaining has reached the peak of psychological maturity. You have realized that your why belongs to you alone. When you stop defending your life, you finally start living it. You aren't just being quiet, you are being free. The unilateral no to family is the ultimate test of a loner's resolve. Family systems are built on inherited obligations, unspoken rules that say you must endure discomfort for the sake of the tribe. When you provide an explanation for your absence, you are essentially admitting that the tribe has the right to judge your reasons. If you say you're working, they tell you to take the day off. If you say you're sick, they offer to bring you soup. They negotiate your boundaries away. But when you offer no explanation, the negotiation never starts. You are asserting that your will is a complete sentence. This creates a massive power vacuum. The family will try to fill it with shame and worry, but since you haven't given them a hook, their words just slide off. They fear your silence because it proves that the blood contract is no longer binding. You have shown them that you can exist outside the family narrative, and to a group that relies on control, that is the ultimate act of rebellion. You aren't abandoning them, you are simply taking back the ownership of your own existence. The conflict vacuum is a masterclass in emotional aikido. Most people use conflict as a way to exert dominance or seek validation. When someone attacks you, they are essentially handing you a social contract that says, "Please argue with me." They want the back and forth because it keeps them in the center of the story. If this resonates with you, consider subscribing to support more deep dives like this. By refusing to explain your side or defend your character, you are declining the contract. You are letting their words fall into a void where they cannot echo. This is devastating for a narcissist or a bully. They need your reaction to feel powerful. When you offer a neutral, "okay," and go back to your book, you are signaling that their opinion is irrelevant to your reality. You aren't winning the argument, you are making the argument impossible to have. You have realized that you don't need to be right in their eyes as long as you are real in your own. The fear they feel is the fear of being ignored, which is the only true death for a shallow ego. The lifestyle non-disclosure is a subtle but powerful way loners protect their growth. Society is obsessed with progress reports. We are expected to explain our new diets, our new hobbies, or our sudden career changes as if we are presenting to a board of directors. We want the group's stamp of approval before we fully commit. The loner who stops explaining these changes is engaging in deep stealth. You are making changes in the dark so they can grow without the interference of other people's projections. When people ask, "Why are you doing that?" and you simply shrug and say, "Because I like it," you are cutting the social approval loop. You are proving that your motivation is internal. This terrifies people who can't even pick a restaurant without checking a review or asking a friend. They fear your autonomy because it highlights their own dependency. You aren't being secretive, you are being protective. You are nurturing your evolution in a garden where no one else's opinion is allowed to act as a weed. There is a strategic ambiguity in silence that gives the loner a massive advantage in any hierarchy. When you don't explain your moves, people are forced to guess. In a work environment or a social circle, people usually guess based on their own insecurities. If they are competitive, they assume you are being competitive. If they are fearful, they assume you are afraid. By not explaining, you become a Rorschach test for their own pathologies. They end up fighting with their own shadows while you remain calm and focused. This informational asymmetry means that you always know more about them than they know about you. You see their projections clearly while your own intentions remain hidden behind a wall of quiet professionalism. Society fears this because legibility is the primary way they manage people. If they can't read you, they can't lead you. You have become a variable that they cannot account for, which gives you the freedom to move through the world without being managed by the expectations of the mediocre. The death of the apology is the final stage of a loner who has stopped explaining. Most explanations are just apologies in disguise. We explain why we were late, why we forgot a birthday, or why we didn't call back because we are begging for forgiveness for being human. The unbothered loner understands that mistakes happen and choices are made. If you need to make amends, you do it directly. If you made a choice that someone else just doesn't like, you offer no apology and no explanation. You accept that you might be the villain in their story for 10 minutes. This refusal to grovel is seen as arrogance, but it is actually honesty. You are refusing to perform the ritual of shame that society demands for the crime of having boundaries. People fear this because it shows that you have broken the guilt trigger. They realize they can no longer use your conscience as a tool to bend you to their will. You are the one who has decided that your peace is more important than their performance of politeness. In the final analysis, stopping the explanation is the great divorce from the social contract. You are choosing to self-validate in a world that outsources validation to the highest bidder. You have realized that being understood is a luxury, not a necessity, and that being sovereign is a necessity, not a luxury. You aren't closing yourself off, you are centering yourself in. By the time you reach this level of dark psychological independence, you realize that the 7 billion judges in the world don't actually have a courtroom unless you build one for them in your own head. By stopping the explanation, you burn the courtroom. You are the judge, the accused, and the executioner of your own shadows. You have found the center of the silence and realized that it is the only place where you can hear the truth. Don't look back at the explainers with contempt. Look at them with pity, because they are still paying a tax on their freedom that they don't have to pay. The exile of the silent loner is actually a coronation. You have crowned yourself with the quietude of the wise. Stay in your truth, stay in your silence, and remember, the world only has power over the story you tell them. If you stop telling the story, they lose the power to change the ending. You are the author of the unwritten book, and you are the only one who knows how it ends.